only mode.
Hello everyone, welcome to the webinar for service providers for the ABX2-1 survey project. This is a recorded webinar. I am Tia Daniel. I am the Executive VP of OIG Compliance Now. We are very happy to be assisting with this project. I wanted to say, starting off, that it's perfectly understandable if some of you have questions or feel a bit apprehensive. We have had some issues with the portal and we will discuss those. But my plan today is to take you through the steps to set up your portal account and complete your survey. Because this is a recording, wanted to let you know up front how to best contact us. On the Authenticate page, which is where you'll be starting, there is a link for the Contact Us page. We prefer that you use in this form to send us these pieces of information: your vendor regional center, vendor number, service code, your email address especially, so that we can collect information. We do have some tools that are coming out to be able to help with some of the problems that we're having, and we'd like your email address to be able to reach you. We do have a Google phone number where you can leave a message, and we also have a survey help desk email, but again, really trying to drive you toward using that Contact Us page. Also, for help, along the top of that page, you'll see a lot of links. There is a full manual for the website, slides from a webinar like this, the actual survey questions, so you can look at those ahead of time, FAQ, which is a frequently asked question document, and also a 2-minute help video to get you started. So encourage you to take a look at that information if you have questions. I'll do a brief introduction, then we'll review the steps: authentication, registration, and login. Those 3 steps create your portal account, and then you'll be able to complete your surveys. I'll also do a web demo where I go through these steps actually live in a browser. We'll talk a little bit about the FAQ, and then for any other questions that I don't cover, please contact us. There was an assembly bill that issued rate increases to certain provider programs on July 1st of 2016, and the Department of Developmental Services and also the regional centers are required to survey all providers to see how those rate increases have been used. The survey is due October 1st. The regional centers are suggesting September 15th, so we don't wait until the last minute. Things have a tendency to happen. And also in terms of our system and getting everybody on board, we do have over 6,500 service providers that have to complete this process, and there's about 26,000 surveys that have to be completed. So quite a bit of work to be done. So as soon as you can jump on board and start, that would be great. Unfortunately, if you don't do the surveys, you will forfeit any rate increases. We don't have any information about how that might come about, and hopefully we're not going to go there, and we'll help you get this done. So we worked with North LA and Alta Regional Centers and DDS to create a secure portal for all of you where you can go in and complete these surveys. We also will not cover issues related to the use of rate increase funds or program calculations. I actually cover a little bit of that, but if I don't cover your exact scenario, please contact your regional center directly. We also plan to post some scenario examples on that Authenticate page. There have been some problems setting up portal accounts. The authentication step, which is the very first step, does not work for some programs. Had a couple of issues. There was a source code issue when the data were pulled and certain vendor numbers were missing from the system. We did upload a few thousand new records. It fixed some of the issues, but not others. If you have tried to authenticate and it didn't work, please try again. There was also a date range issue that resulted in some programs missing, and that actually we're uploading some additional records that might fix some of that. But again, if your authentication fails, please fill out that Contact Us form. We are developing 2 new tools for entering data, so all of you as providers will be able to provide your data to us, and the regional centers will be able to do some data entry as well to get all the programs into the database. So if you reach out, we get your email address, we'll be able to follow up with you this coming week. The link on the bottom is a link to the Authenticate page, and that's where we start. So we'll go through the steps: the authentication, registration, login, which creates your account, and then we'll talk about how to complete the surveys. You will complete these steps for every tax ID number for programs that received rate increases. So if you understand which programs need to participate, and let's say all of your programs fall under one tax ID number, you will only have to create one portal account. You'll still have to complete a survey for every vendor number and service code combination or program under that tax ID. If you have multiple tax ID numbers, you'll have to do this process multiple times. So as an example, on the screen I have two tax IDs. Under each tax ID I have one program, so one vendor number and one service code. You can have multiple vendor numbers under each tax ID. I'm only showing one in each case, but you could have 6 different programs under a single tax ID. The good news is they're all included together. They'll be in one portal account under that one tax ID, and you'll be able to complete all the surveys together. When you undergo authentication, you only need one of these 3 things. So we call it a triplet. So one tax ID, one vendor number, one service code. So on the left side there's one example, and then on the right side there's another example for a different tax ID. We recommend that you set up one portal account first and then go through this process again if you have to set up a second one or more than that. You'll see on the Authenticate page there's a select language drop-down that you can use to change the display language on the page. If some of you have used this before, what it does is it changes all the wording that shows up there. The forms must be completed in English, and we wanted to mention that, but that tool could be useful to some providers. And when you complete this page, here's what it should look like: 9-digit tax ID, 6-digit vendor number, 3-digit service code. If your service code starts with 0, then please use the 0 when you do that data entry. Unfortunately, you could see this, which is the authentication failed message. Please go back and try again. It could be as simple as you just mistyped something, so try to retype your information. Make sure that you're using the tax ID for a program that received an increase. If you don't even know your tax ID, you'll have to contact your regional center. If you have a tax ID with multiple vendor numbers underneath it, try some of the different programs. So try a tax ID and then the first vendor number and service code. If that doesn't work, try the second one. Again, because of these missing programs, some of yours could be in there and some might not. If you think your regional center might be using your social security number in place of your tax ID, you can try that. We have had that happen. Some of you, I think, have been vendored under a social security number. So that could be the situation for you. Please try that. And if you're still not successful, use that Contact Us form so we can send instructions to you coming up soon. If that's successful, you enter the registration step, which is step 2. You will need an email address and you'll need a password. Choose the email address that you either have on file with your regional center or one that they can use to reach you. So make sure this is a real address. The good news is if you have multiple tax IDs and you have to set up multiple portal accounts, you can use the same email address for each one. We just need you to choose a different password. So please keep track of which password you're using for which tax ID if you have many of these. Unfortunately, there's no password reset process in the portal. So if you need to reset your password because you forgot it or mistyped it, you'll have to contact us and let us know. You must follow password rules, pretty standard security rules, at least 8 characters, at least 1 capital letter, 1 lowercase letter, 1 number, and 1 symbol. And those are the symbols that are allowed. Not all of them are allowed in this process. If authentication is successful in step 1, you will be taken immediately to this page where you put in an email address and a password and then confirm the password to make sure that they match. If that's successful, you're taken to a page. It says registration was successful. Please log in here, and you click a link that says login, and then it will take you to this page. Please bookmark this page. If you are completing your surveys and it times out, or you go to a meeting and you have to log out and come back, you'll need this login page to get back in. So on this page, you'll need an email address and your password. And enter those as you see here. Click login. If that is successful, you see your home page. So that's the landing page. There'll be some verbiage at the top, and then you'll see a chart like this. All the surveys that are listed under that tax ID that you use to create the portal should show up. You will see multiple surveys if you have multiple programs. Again, one tax ID, you could have multiple vendor number service code combinations. Like on this one, there are 2. The survey is partially completed because some fields are pre-populated for you. When we received the data file, it had service provider name, address, phone number, email, that type of information. If you do not see all the surveys you think should be listed under that tax ID, or extra ones that maybe shouldn't be there, again, use the Contact Us form, reach out, and let us know. We're aware that some programs, even though they were eligible to receive rate increases, didn't actually get any funding. And because the program was eligible, the survey still has to be completed. However, we've given you a quick way to do that. There's a section at the top of the survey where you can indicate that you didn't receive a payment, or you didn't have authorization, or something else. So check one of these boxes, whatever applies. If it's something else, put a description. Your survey will be automatically completed. The regional centers will be reviewing these situations, just so you know. And if you happen to do it by mistake, then we'll show you how to back out of it. A couple more things. In that table, you'll see a column called Estimate with a blue Expand button. If you click that button, it brings up a table that shows you estimated payments received for the program. Those are annual payment amounts. The amounts might be incorrect. Now that we've moved from collecting data for the survey, it used to be for 12 months, the survey was changed so that you only have to provide us with 1 month's worth of data. So we decided to leave it there. It's for informational purposes only, no actions required. It's not necessary for you to call your regional center if there's something wrong with the numbers or if you don't think they're right. At this point, we cannot edit those tables, and it's not important. So just for your reference and nothing to do. You'll notice when you get to the survey page that there are 2 what we call floating buttons in the lower right corner. As you scroll down the survey, these buttons stay there. The blue button will take you back home. The green button allows you to save your data. If you enter data in a field and you back out of that survey page, if you go back home and you don't save it, the data will be lost. So it's important to click the Save Information button. Now we had to set up a session period for this just from a security standpoint, so the survey will be active for 30 minutes. You must save your survey at least once every 30 minutes. At about 5 minutes, you'll get a warning. Starting at 2 minutes, you'll get a timer countdown. If you hit Save Information, then you'll be able to go back in and the survey will be active for another 30 minutes. So you're working within a 30-minute session. If you walk away, you miss the timer, it times out, and you get the message that appears on the bottom there, your session has ended. Click the Go Back Home button. It will take you to the login page because you'll be automatically logged out, and you will have to enter your email address and password to get back in. As you scroll down at the bottom of the survey, you're required to check a box that demonstrates a certification. Basically, you're saying that you certify to the best of your knowledge that you're submitting information that's true and correct. We save every version of the survey form. So the box has to be checked every time you save your data. Also wanted to mention about the reporting month. So we're only asking you to submit information for 1 month, sometime between July of 2016 and when you submit the survey as of September. So it does default to March 2017. That is the preferred month. You do not have to use that month. You can use a month in which bonuses were paid. I did get that question, and that's not a problem. So pick a month that works for you. Again, the header bar, we mentioned that there's a help video that'll take you to YouTube and just 3 simple steps to create your account. There's an FAQ, which is a question document, the webinar slides, the manual. The survey questions are there as well. So a lot of tools to help you as you navigate this process. And again, contact us, that contact us link to get you to a form page where you can enter your information and get that to us. There is also a Google voice number. There's a message on there. We will put updates on there. We also post updates on that first Authenticate page to let you know what's happening. And there's a help desk email address. Again, we need all this data. I need to know your name, vendoring regional center, vendor number, service code, and the problem for us to help you. Okay, so I'm going to jump over now to a live browser. So hold on one second. All right, make this a little bigger here. Okay, so you'll see, there we go. So you'll see at the top, this is the authenticate.php page. We'll put updates right here at the top. This one says that we realize some programs are still missing the tools. We anticipate to be ready by Monday, the 31st. If you complete this contact page, as I mentioned, right, email address, regional center, you'll be given some feedback if for some reason you're not giving us what we need. But then once we have this, we'll be able to follow up with you with instructions on how to do that data entry. Here's the select language tool. If you pick another language, you see how it translates everything except for my picture here. And then to go back, if you click back on that drop down, English will be the first language in the upper left corner to get back. I did have some people that had problems finding that. So you're reminded, only one triplet, one tax ID or TIN, that's what that stands for, tax ID number, one vendor number, and one service code. If you have a second tax ID, you'll have to do this again. Here's what it should look like. And I'm going to complete this. So you enter tax ID, put in your vendor number, and if you only put, it should bark at you a little bit. And if you don't put enough digits in here, it should give you some feedback. So there's my tax ID, 6 digits, my vendor number, my service code, and let's see how I did. Okay, very good. So it worked for me. And basically what the system is doing, we have data in the tables, so it is looking for what you're entering. It's looking for that exact tax ID, that exact vendor number, and the associated service code. And the reason it's failing is in some cases we don't have the tax IDs. In most cases we don't have the vendor numbers because of this missing data problem. But it worked. And then now, if I said if you have an email address that's on file with the regional center, then use that one. If you don't think they have it, give us an email address that's going to work. And see, it gives you some feedback here. Give my passwords. right? So if your passwords don't match, you get that feedback. Let's see if it works for me today, if my data entry is doing well. There we go. So that worked. Registration successful. Please proceed to log in. Here's our login page. Again, we have our language drop-down. And then what you want to enter here is the same email and password that you did in step 2. And then when you hit login, it should take you to the home page. So at the top, have some language in here to try to explain what's going on, why you have to do this, reminding you that the deadline is October 1st, reminding you that you have to complete a separate survey for each combination of vendor number and service code for the programs that are in here. The survey can be completed using a smartphone or a tablet. Here's the help desk email. Again, all of this functionality at the top is active on all of these pages. And here's your table. In this case, this provider only has one program, so one vendor number, service code combination. Here's that blue expand button that brings up the estimates. Again, no action needs to be taken here. The survey starts at somewhere around 40% completed, which means that some of the data are already entered, and we did receive service provider information, name, address, phone number, email. We got a lot of that ahead of time, and that's why it looks like work is already done, even though you just logged in. So no, don't be concerned that anything's going on. It just means that we have some of the fields, and it's actually good because you don't start at 0. Before I go into the survey, let me open up the link up here for the questions. So this is what you'll see when I click on that proceed to survey. You'll see this, all these fields for contact info. There's the I didn't receive any money, so the no payment section, reporting month, and then all of the questions. And you'll see there are only 11 questions. Number 10 and 11 have multiple parts, but pretty straightforward. We'll go back in and go through these, and then your checkbox at the end. So that's there if you want to help if you want to prep some information ahead of time. And then when you're ready, click Proceed to Survey. A language drop-down again at the top. You must complete the forms in English. You also must complete the forms electronically. I know we put that PDF of the questions. Please don't fill that out by hand and then try to fax that somewhere. All of you must create this electronic account and come in here and enter your information. So Section 1, vendor contact info. If there are any, it says review your information. Please make changes. Right? The regional center, this is the information that the regional center has on file for you. If it's wrong, it needs to be corrected. Great. Make those changes here. Making changes here will not change the regional center system, their actual database, but they do have the ability to pull a change report so they can see who has changed information, and that will trigger most likely a phone call or an email from them just asking you about those changes. Here is that section about I didn't receive any payments, I didn't have authorizations. You can choose one of these. Let me show you how easy that is. So if you say, number 1, I never got any money, click that there. You have to scroll down to the bottom. I remembered to do it this time. And click on, check the box here for the certification statement. And then down on the lower right, click the green Save Information button. So there you go. Survey 100% completed. It does say if you have selected it in error, you can go back. So the great thing about it is if you make a mistake, you can always go back and make corrections. It doesn't get submitted and then you're stuck. So click Home, go back here, go back to the survey. And the process works this way because we save every version, so we need to take you back to that home page so you can click the survey button again. And then just unclick this. If you were to save the survey right now, see how it reminds me if I forget to scroll down, it'll scroll down for you and turn red and say, hey, you need to press this. So if I did that right now, I'm back to 42% of the questions, and it will tell you to complete the survey, you must answer all of these questions. So if you do forget one, the system will remind you at the time you save the document what you have to go back and finish. So here we are. Let's go back in again. And let's talk about the questions. Next section is that reporting month. You see there's a nice drop down here. Pick the month that you wish to use. I did get the question about bonuses. I mentioned before it's okay if bonus payments were made. It's just important that you focus on the month that you have selected. All of the answers to the questions in here are really geared around the month that you select. So if you select March of 2017, which is preferred, then we start to answer the question. So you're really looking at looking for the number of people who have spent a minimum of 75% of their time providing services. So the first question is the total number of direct care staff, so no supervisors, managers, directors, nobody like that. So number of direct care staff who provided 75% or more of their time providing direct services to consumers, and it's in that month. So there's a note here that says you have to include direct care staff who maybe don't work for you anymore. So let's say we had 4 people at that time, and only 3 of them are left. Say 1 left the company between March and today. That's okay. You want to include all 4 because all 4 were present in March and working. So again, it really is geared around that. Now let's talk a little bit about splitting resources. I got a lot of questions about, okay, I have staff, but they work across multiple programs, and this survey that you're answering is only one program. So the best way to think about this, let's say you have 1 person, let's just do 1, and you have 2 programs. The 1 person splits her time across 2 programs. Let's say it's a 50-50 split. So, and let's say she works 40 hours a week. So if she works 40 hours a week, and then remember we're going to have to multiply this. You're going to have to look over the whole month, but let's do it a week at a time. So she works 40 hours a week, and she splits half and half. So she spends 20 hours on this program and 20 hours on another survey that you have to answer. So that 20 hours that she spends on that program is what you need to consider for this survey. So this is program number 1. Then you have to look at how she's spending that time. So out of those 20 hours, if 15, well, let's say 20. If 20 out of those 20 hours, 20 divided by 20 is times, well, it's 1 times 100 is 100%. If all 20 hours are spent providing direct services, then she is included in the count for this survey. So she works 20 hours on this program. So let's say it's 15 hours. So out of those 20 hours, 15 of them are spent providing direct services. So 15 divided by 20 times 100 is 75%. So I have a couple of figures here, right? 15 out of 20 is 75. If it's on a 40-hour basis, 30 hours divided by 40 is 75%. If it's 15 hours, 12 out of 15 hours is 80%. If it's 11 out of 15, you fall below 75. 7.5 hours out of 10 hours would be 75%. So that would be the best way to look at it if you have a shared resource situation, which most places do. So that's the one calculation question I've been able to research and answer for you. Now it is possible, I wanted to mention this as well, let's say you run all your calculations and nobody provides more than 75% of their time. They're split so much that, and they're split across 6 different programs. I don't know if this would really happen, but it is possible that the answer to this question could be 0. You don't have any people that have spent 75% or more of their time individually on this program that you're doing this survey for. If that is 0, the second question, when it asks you for the average amount of time, the answer is 0. So this is a possible scenario, 0 people with 0%. If you have 1 person, the answer to question number 2 has to be something, or the person shouldn't be included in the survey. So if it's 1 person who spent 100%, you would pick the 95% or greater answer. If it's 1 person that did 75%, that would be your answer. If it's 2 people and you average it out, again, you're dividing, it's the time, and then you're dividing. So 1 did 15 hours, 1 did 20, total, and you divide by 2, and that's how you get, again, it's the same type of average calculation. So let's say it was 2, and let's say the average time was between 85 and 94%. For question 3, you have to look at what you paid these 2 people. So look at each person separately. Person number 1 got this salary or this wage, these benefit amounts, and you add it up for person 1, you add it up for person 2, you add them together, so total dollars divided by 2. That gives you the average in case one makes more than the other, because a lot of times it's different. So they want the average monthly, right? So if we do calculations on a weekly basis, you have to remember to translate this out to the whole month. So I suggest if you have HR records to pull staff, payroll, whoever your payroll company is, to help you look at total hours worked over that month. I did it on a weekly basis, so it would be easier to understand. So let's say the average monthly per person when you add it up is $2,500. So money from 1, money from 2 divided by 2 equals $2,500. Then we repeat the calculation for supervisors. Again, you could have no supervisors that did direct care, and then the answer to this would be 0. Let's say you have 1, and let's say he did 75%. And then when it asks you for the average money, it was only 1 person. So all you have to do is put in how much salary, wage, benefits that person received during the month, so during March. So let's say it was 4,000. Question number 7, you're adding everybody up. You had 2 people direct, 2 people at the staff level, 1 person as a manager, so total is 3. This is total number of staff who received funds during the month, who provided 75% or more. So it's a sum. And then for 8 and 9, we ask you for position categories or job titles. There are too many different possibilities for us to put people into buckets, so we say multiple categories can be entered. So, and you, if you have 10 people and they all have the same title, just put the 1 title in here is fine. This is just to give you the ability to put different titles if your people have different titles or different position categories. And same thing for this. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to leave this question blank. I'm going to pretend I didn't see it, and then I'll show you what happens. So question 10, to make it nicer, easier on the eyes, we did an expandable question here. So question 10 asks you, of the salary and benefit increases that you provided to the people spending a minimum of 75% of their time providing services, how do they get that money? What types of increases did they get? They got a wage increase, they may have had bonus payments, they may have had life insurance, you may have put it into a 401k. If the type of increase doesn't fit one of these, then click one of the other boxes and just put a description in here so the regional center can review that. And when you're done with this question, you can collapse it. Doesn't make your answers go away. So you can collapse it and then go on to question 11. Now question 11 asks if you used funds for administrative costs, because you got two types of increases, right? You got the direct care increase and then the administrative cost increase. So you should have gotten funding for that as well. And it's asking how did you use that? So we used it for facility costs, we did some data processing. I mean, some of it was actually used to pay salary. So same exercise. Check the boxes that apply. Again, if there's another one, same thing. And then as we come down, check your certification and click Save. And it will remind you. It'll say, oh, okay, you completed 94%. You forgot question number 9. And so same process that we went through before. Come out, come back in, scroll down to question 9, put in the title. Come down again, check the box one more time, and then click Save. Simple process. When you're done, in the data saved page, it says you've completed 100%. When you go back to the home page, if you want to see what that looks like, you could log out right then. If you want to go back to the home page, you see a note right here. You've completed all the surveys. Thank you for your participation. You can log out. You see your % complete bar changes to 100%. For those of you that have multiple programs and multiple surveys, you'll see that complete bar for each one. And not until they're all at 100% are you considered finished. And then this message will appear right here. Couple of things. Here's the manual page. There is a complete manual for the portal that goes through all of this information, the 3 steps, filling out the survey. For the calculations, there are some mathematical formulas in there. The webinar slides. The slides that are in here right now are actually from the 25th. But those will be updated. The survey questions we looked at. The FAQ, we've gone through a lot of this, so I won't spend a lot of time. Couple of things, if you don't know at all what information to use, we do have some that say, I have no idea what tax ID to use, then you will need to contact the regional center about that. If there are more than one tax ID program, you have to complete the authentication process, and you'll have 2 portals. So you'll have one email address with a password, and you log in and do those surveys, and then a second, the same email address actually, and a second password to get into the other account. And your challenge is just keeping that straight so you know which ones you're going into to complete the surveys. I got a question about service code subcodes, and those don't matter. What matters is one survey for vendor number service code combination. And the challenge then, from what I hear from most people, is it's a resource issue. How do you look at those resources and put them in different buckets? If somebody's a supervisor but they also provide direct care, what does the administrative person do? So a lot of scenarios, and we'll put a scenario summary link right on that home page and right on the Authenticate page. You'll see that. Password rules. If you forget your password, please use the Contact Us form and tell us, and we will help you. Here is the login page, that separate login page for if you log out and then come back in. I don't see all my surveys. What do I do? And we covered that. Reach out to us, and there should be a solution coming up very soon. The estimates page, which You don't have to do anything with, what if my vendor contact information is not correct? Please make those changes, and the regional center will be able to generate a report and may contact you to discuss that. Deadline is October 1st. Please try to finish by September 15th. Grab human resources and payroll system records is what I would suggest to try to pull together the information. Your payroll company should be able to help you. Talks about the expansion questions, the countdown timer. So a lot of the things that I covered today, if you don't want to go back and listen to the webinar, because there will be a webinar link that's upcoming that everyone can listen to, you can consult some of these documents. And then the logout button in the upper right corner, which takes you back to the login page where you can repeat the process all over again. So I think I covered everything that I wanted to today. Thank you very much for your attention, and we are hoping to make this as smooth of a process as possible for everyone. We have, as I said, run into some issues with the data in the tables, but with 26,000 surveys and over 6,500 vendors, we're doing what we can to try to make this an easy process and get those errors corrected. So thanks very much. Remember to click on that Contact Us page and fill out a form if you need to reach us. Again, thank you very much for your attention. All the best in filling out your surveys, and hope everybody has a great day. Take care.